Well, today we are talking about simplicity.
Yeah.
And simplicity is one of my favorite things. If you remember, I gave a talk about it back in the fall,
Totally.
which is really fun. But today I want to talk about simplicity of stuff. And it's often the thing that you think of first when you think of simplicity, like especially with the minimalistic movement that are, sparking joy with our possessions, things like that. It feels like something that is relatively familiar.
Yeah.
But something that I want us to think on and talk a little bit about is how simplicity and how we interact with possessions and things around us actually, in a lot of ways, was formed deep in us in our family of origin. And so what I learned as I got older and started actually being able to purchase things myself was I realized that I had a tendency to buy in excess because when I was younger, I didn't have a lot. Yeah. And so once I could finally freely purchase things, I felt like I would just buy things left and right, and how it wasn't cultivating a spirit of simplicity in me at all. But it was linked directly to how I grew up. Have you ever thought about that before? About the general relation between family of origin and simplicity?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first time this was really drilled into my mind is a lot of us have had this kind of experience, but I went on a mission trip for the first time, beginning of college, end of high school, to South Africa. And we visited a village where, it was very scarce, the amount of things that people had, whether it was shoes or toys for the kids. And in that moment, it made me reflect on my own life and the things that I did have in plenty, but it helped me really reverse the mindset I had of I had a lot of stuff, and when I have the things that I want, then I am content and happy.
Yeah.
And when I met these folks in this village we were serving at, I saw a joy and a happiness I'd never experienced before, and it was with a lack of things. And it really made me reflect on this reality of and all these things I'd accumulated over and over again, asked for Christmas after Christmas after Christmas. They were not making me internally happy. It was actually people that had a simplicity of stuff that were happier deep within.
Totally, yeah. And so much of our culture and the world around us is just coming at us, trying to get us to get more. Buy more, spend more money, all the things, just acquire more. And really this movement of simplicity is, it really is an inward movement. It often can be seen in the outward by how you're interacting with possessions, but it really is all inward. Because I can think of even some people in my life that maybe are minimalistic in the things that they own, that they don't have necessarily a lot. They would say that they're, a minimalist, but how they interact with their possessions is actually not someone who has a view of things through the lens of simplicity. Because they cling tightly to what they have. And really, simplicity, again, is this inward movement. And I love, Foster talks about it, that he says that simplicity brings sanity to our compulsive extravagance. And I think of how easy it is for me to have compulsive extravagance in so many different areas of my life. But often it manifests in the things that I'm purchasing. And he goes on to say, simplicity brings sanity to our compulsive extravagance and peace to our frantic spirit. It allows us to see material things for what they are, goods to enhance life, not to oppress life. And I think of how often I buy things or I acquire that thing that I wanted, thinking that it would be the thing that would enhance my life, and it ended up oppressing my life. I think of even my relationship with my phone and how much I'm on it and how it sucks things away from me in so many ways, and the latest technology, just all of it. It's simplicity is a hard one, I think, for me.
Totally, me too. And I think you nailed it. The world we live in, advertising, and just a capitalist society is one built on I think the two words scarcity and abundance.
Yes.
And the scarcity piece, we are sort of just pushed to think that I don't have enough. And once I get enough, I have to scramble for it, and then I will be fulfilled. as opposed to the gospel that says there's an abundance in this moment through God. And I think of the when Jesus talks about the birds and how they have everything they need. He clothes them in the flowers exactly how they are. I love thinking through that lens of like, man, I have to turn from scarcity to abundance. Like, I have all I need here.
Yeah, it's the whole, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, right? When we realize that we have an abundant shepherd who provides everything we need, we don't have to live in this mindset of constantly wanting. But I would say, as I mentioned, it's hard. And I would say a starting place, maybe for you, if you haven't done it before, I'd really encourage you this week to think about your relationship to possessions and things in relation to your family of origin and where you came from, and how were the things that you were taught early on, how does that now form how you interact with your things? Do you cling tightly? Do you feel like you hoard more because you didn't maybe grow up with a lot? Or is this, not something that you feel like you struggle with? But I think that it's important to look back through our lives with that lens so that we see, especially today, how we interact with simplicity in regards to material things.